Hi, this is Dina for Splitcoaststampers. In this video, I'll show you how to use paint and stamps to create an embossed wooden pendant. I'm starting with a wood piece that I got on Etsy. This one measures 40 millimeters across and it came pre-drilled. If you have a piece that doesn't have a hole, you'll need to drill it yourself, and the hole should be at least 1/4 inch across. You don't need special paint for this. I'm just using very inexpensive craft paint. And I'm going to give the piece a coat of paint on all the surfaces, front and back and inside the hole. And I'm holding the piece off to one side and just painting all the areas that I'm not touching. And then I'll use my heat tool to lightly dry that area enough to handle so I can paint the rest. And the painting on this layer doesn't need to be perfect, so if you have some spots that dry light or they're uneven, it's fine. I like using a darker color for this step and then a lighter color for the top coat, but you can also use a lighter color first. And really the most important thing is having a contrast between the two colors that you use. After the paint is dry, we're going to do some stamping, and I have some products from Color Box that I'll be using here. These are their mini molding mats. These are 2-inch square, and I also have some larger ones with longer patterns and sections of patterns. And those are 2 by 7 inches. And these are basically unmounted or naked rubber stamps, and they're used for stamping as well as imprinting clay or foil. I put a foam pad under my stamp for a little extra cushion, and for the next step I'm going to ink it up with a clear embossing ink and then press my wood piece into the ink to get a good even impression. And that's going to give me a nice embossed pattern that I can coat with clear embossing powder. I'm going to heat that until it's set, and then I'll be ready for the next step. For the next step here, since I started with a dark color, I'm going to choose a lighter metallic color for my top coat. If you have a lighter base, you'll use a darker color for this step. I just really need a tiny amount of paint. And you could probably use a brush or a sponge for this, but I like to use my finger because I can get a super thin layer. And I can also get the paint down into the open areas of my wood piece that aren't coated with the embossing powder. So I've got a light coat here, but it's on some of the raised areas. So I'm going to use a baby wipe to remove the excess there. I want a metallic look around the edge of this piece, so I'm using some Color Box silver pigment ink and just tapping that on directly with the pad. And you could do this with paint as well, or a metallic rub like Inca Gold, or you can give it a vintage look with a black or brown ink. It's just up to you and the effect that you want. As a final step on this piece, I'm going to use a clear sealant to give it a protective coating. And this is Colorique Sealant. It's by Color Box. But you could also use any clear acrylic varnish that you have. And be sure to coat it on all sides. I did the top here, and then I sealed the back after it was dry. I have a metal charm here that needs a couple of jump rings. The first one here is 4 millimeters wide, and I opened that up with the pliers. I'm going to put on my metal charm and then add a 6 millimeter ring before closing the small ring up. And the pliers make the rings very easy to hold on to, so do use those if you have them. And I use 2 rings here because I want the top ring to lay flat against the charm. If the ring on your charm goes the other way, then you'll only need 1 jump ring. Next, I've got a yard of cording, and mine is 1.5 millimeter round leather cord. I'm going to line up the ends and find the center of that piece. And then I'll put that through my large jump ring from front to back. And then I'm going to put it through the hole in my wood piece from front to back. And then I'll run the ends of the cording through the loop to make a knot and hold the charm onto the pendant. And you may need to fiddle with the cord and with the charm a little bit to get them in the place that you want. There are 2 ways that you can do the closure of this necklace. You can just tie the ends in a knot together if you want a fixed length necklace. If you want the length to be adjustable, you're going to overlap the ends about 3 to 4 inches and tie the left end around the cord on the right and the right end around the cord on the left. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I made a loop with the end behind the cord, and then the end goes around the cord, up behind, and then through the loop. So you can see the knot is around the cord so the cord can slide freely inside it. Then the same on the other side. Loop the end around the cord and then up behind and through the loop. So now you have 2 knots that can slide on the cord, and you can pull the cord outside of the knots to move the knots closer together for a longer necklace, or slide the knots on the cord to pull them apart for a shorter necklace. So here's that finished pendant. And then I have a few more that I did with different patterns and colors. And these are all done with a darker base coat and a lighter paint on top. And then in this group, I have one that's not embossed at all, just stamped on the far left. And the second red one with a key has a lighter color as the base, so you can see what that looks like. So I hope this tutorial gives you some ideas. Thank you so much for watching.